Hiya friends, hanging with Mr. Will here. July coming to an end, and of course we're now getting into the start of NFL training camp. And for all of you avid book readers out there, you're probably wondering to yourself, Will, it's baseball still. Give me some books to recommend to read as far as getting myself ready for the start of the upcoming season. A couple of weeks ago I made a couple of recommendations to try out to get yourself fired up for football in an old school sense. I mentioned the bio of Jerry Kramer, the year the Packers won their second Super Bowl back-to-back Vince Lombardi season. Now let's go old school, 1971-1972 for this particular book, in which Dick Butkus pretty much covers 1 week to 10 days in a season that wasn't too kind to the Chicago Bears, 71 leading into 1972. Bobby Douglas's next to last year as left-handed quarterback for the Chicago Bears. The book is called Stop Action by Dick Butkus. Unlike what you're used to having heard him say or do when doing football analyst work for NFL Today, late 80s, early 90s, this book, very old school, takes you back to a time when the game was a lot different. You have more memories leading toward the days of Gale Sayers, not to mention some of the exploits of what guys would do on the offensive and defensive side of the ball back in the day. To put it differently, the year this book came out, Texas Stadium was just opening its doors October of that particular year. Great read, and it basically talks about a lot of things that we talk about these days in circles in terms of offense versus defense, getting along, playing as a team, not being too much of an individual, and how the game is evolving and the game is changing. Funny how a lot of the things that Dick Butkus talks about in this book can apply in the game today as we know it. It's a book that you can pretty much get over and done with reading in the course of, I'd say, a good hour and a half to 2 hours. And some of these pictures of Dick Butkus are going back to his high school days in Illinois, not to mention his time at the Illini before being drafted by the Bears back in the day. Again, it's a great read, some funny anecdotes, and it talks about football back in the day. I will highly recommend reading this to get yourself fired up for football. And by the way, is it just me, or does he kind of look like Mike Singletary in that picture? That's like a Mike Singletary maddened look in the face there, going back to 1970, 1971. Just saying. That's a great book, Dick Butkus, Nonstop Action. And then, this is something that's been released and redone and rewritten a couple of times. First done in 1982, reissued in 88. This I got in 1991. It's essentially an NFL playbook to essentially explain to you a lot of diagrams, charts, and definitions, things that you will see analysts in the NFL in televised games talk about from offense to defense. And you'll see lots of these little diagrams to explain the role of a guard, a tackle, a center, what the objective of a play happens to be, if you're going to be sweeping, running outside, if you're going to be doing strong side versus weak side. And it goes all the way to double reversing, play action passes, shotgun, option screen, screen pass, double reverse. And it pretty much covers everything you need to know about the 3-4 and the 4-3. They say the game has changed over time with all this West Coast offense stuff and the like, but I'm telling you right here, right now, if you really want to become well-versed on what makes plays happen and how they happen, here's another book that I'll recommend to you. Go to your local bookstore and punch it up online. You should be able to find it. The Illustrated NFL Playbook came out in 82, re-released in 88 and 89. And there's Jim McMahon going back to, I think, the championship game when they beat the Rams 24-0 to go on to the Super Bowl and beat New England that year in New Orleans by a 46-10 count. That 46 defense, also memory of Doug Plank. 2 recommendations by myself to get you fired up for football once the Olympics happen to end. And now you know, Mr. Will signing off. Till next time.